All right, good morning and welcome to the First Bank Cybersecurity webinar related to COVID-19 scams. I'm Mike Vanderveld and I'll be your facilitator. Presenting today is our Chief Information Security Officer, Marc Ashworth. Before we get started, allow me to cover just a few logistics. If you haven't done so already, please join the webinar portion so you can see the slides. We'll have about 15 minutes of content followed by 15 minutes of Q&A. Now the lines are muted, but at any time, please do type a question through the webinar tool, and we're going to address those at the end. Also, keep that mouse handy. We're going to be looking to get your input through a couple of polling questions. We at First Bank want to help our clients be as successful as possible. So with that in mind, we're piloting sessions like this one that are focused on client education. Please do complete the brief survey at the end and let us know what you think about that. Okay, let me just cover the quick legal disclaimer and then we'll get started. The opinions expressed in the presentation are statements of the speaker's opinion and are intended for informational purposes and not necessarily opinions of First Bank. First Bank recommends that you engage in a reputable provider of information security services to protect you and your company's assets. All right, so we're ready to dive in and I want to start by hearing from you. So grab that mouse. I'm going to open up a polling question here. All right, and that first question says, have you or anyone you know been contacted by what you suspect is a scammer related to COVID-19? So let me go ahead and push that poll out right now. Again, grab your mouse and click your answer. I'm going to give you guys just about 10-15 seconds here to do that. Again, the question is asking if you or anyone you know has already been contacted by what you suspect is a scam related to COVID. All right, I'll give you about 5 more seconds here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close down that poll here, and it looks to be about 35% of you are saying yes, you have. 65% are saying no. So thank you so much for that. And at this point, I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Marc Ashworth.
Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us today. Today, I'd like to take a few minutes to discuss some of the scams around COVID-19 and the U.S. government relief checks. First, I want to apologize ahead of time in case you hear a dog barking or something like that in the background. You know, I am conducting this from home, so we might have some fun sounds there. Cybercrime is a big business, so much so that it is set to be the 3rd largest economy by next year at over $6.1 trillion, bumping Japan from 3rd place, which is about $4.9 trillion. With the pandemic this year, it's probably already surpassed Japan. So that shows you the potential payoff for criminals and the very low likelihood of prosecution. The incentive for COVID-19 scams and the U.S. government relief scams have a very high potential for them. The FTC has recorded almost 17,000 fraudulent complaints around the COVID-19 over the past few months, and around 46% of those had a monetary loss totaling over $12 million. As you can see here, there are coronavirus scams that claim to be information from the White House, the World Health Organization, and the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, just to name a few. They have various other scams around the tax filings and other information that's being sent out. There's also scams around sales for cures, at-home testing kits, vaccines, and investment opportunities, so be careful of those. And this week, there's potential for additional relief check scams claiming to be from the IRS or that the organization has early access to relief money. No one has early access, and it is not the IRS that's contacting you. They're not calling you, texting, or email. That is just not what they're doing. If you do get a call, try and get a name and a phone number from them, and then report that information to your local police department, the IRS, or the FBI. Next slide. Criminals are using fear and anxiety around the coronavirus, along with the misinformation that's been provided by the press and social media to target their victims. We're going to do a quick poll here and for our next question, and then we'll continue on.
Yeah, very good. So grab your mouse again. I'm going to go ahead and open up this next poll. And it says, excuse me, it says, what percentage of all scams right now do you think are related to COVID-19? So go ahead and grab your mouse there, and what do you think? Is it 20%? Is it 50%? Is it 80% of all the current scams that are out there related to COVID-19? So I'm going to give you another 10 seconds here to kind of tell us what you think. And I see the numbers jumping around and moving. I love it. People are contributing. All right, I'll give you 5 more seconds here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close this poll. It looks like 21% are saying it's 20%. 42% of you are saying it's about half, and 38% of you are saying that it's 80% of scams that are. So, Mark, what's the right data?
Correct answer is 80% of all the scams right now are COVID-19 related. Criminals are using the like I said earlier, the fear and anxiety around coronavirus to target individuals and use the misinformation that was done in social media and the press. The criminals are attacking various websites and creating false retail websites that are set up for skimming credit cards. There's been over 51,000 domains that have been registered since January that are COVID-19 related. That is 51,000 potential malicious websites that you might be put in front of that they're trying to get your information, and they're trying to steal your money or obtain personal information about you in order to use in other ways. E-commerce hosting sites such as Shopify and then Amazon, they're doing their part to protect their customers. Shopify has shut down over 4,500 malicious sites, and then Amazon has removed over 500,000 suspicious product listings over the past couple of months. Criminal organizations and state-sponsored groups, next slide, are utilizing their sites and social media to obtain personal information. They are utilizing this information to obtain access to bank accounts, email, and other systems. A lot of this information is provided already on the dark net or the dark web, but if they can obtain more current information, more current credit card information, then all the better for them. The surveys that are taking place on social media, such as what cars you have owned, senior pictures, where you've traveled, and other, these are just a treasure trove of information that can be found from a hacker's standpoint, and using that social engineering can help provide them with access into those accounts. So don't answer these surveys or take these quizzes that are asking about things that you've done in your life and those sort of things, because that's just social engineering that they could utilize in the future. Due to quarantine and other and the increase in America's not working, other scams for high interest loans are also on the increase, as well as the U.S. government release scams that are being done by phone or text, as well as email. So here are some examples of some potential emails that are being sent out. So take a moment and look at this one and then the next one, and see, you know, do you really think this is a phishing email or not?
Yeah, so go ahead and just take a look at this email and just think to yourself, we're not going to poll this time, but just think, hey, is this one suspicious or is it not? So let's just give you a few seconds here to think that over.
Yeah, so as you can see here, it looks like a valid email. It looks like you know, there's a good way to reschedule for this particular meeting and provide you with a link for you to go get rescheduled. And never trust a link. The links are always bad in emails, and more times than not, they're going to take you to something malicious in order to get things installed onto your machine. Can you go ahead and show the second one? I'll give you a second to look at this one as well. This one's pretty typical. It sounds like it's coming from a friend of yours, and that they are asking for gift cards or money, and that should be a very quick tip that this is fraudulent. So if you know Allison, I would call that person. I would not reply to this email, because obviously the scammer is going to reply back and say, well, of course it's me. So always, you know, pick up the phone and contact the person or text the person directly but do not reply to the email off of there to see if this is valid. Gift cards is a easy way for criminals to turn the cards into cash and really move forward and do things with it. And it's an easy scam that's been, very productive, getting, billions of dollars in revenue for them over the years. So, and you show the third one. So as you can see on this one here, this has a link, and it's really trying to get the user to have a sense of immediacy, some urgency, that if they don't click on this link and go view this information, they might not get the stimulus money. So don't, just because you receive an email, don't fall for that sense of urgency that something has to be done right now. Nothing has to be done right now. And if you question it, then do your research, go straight to the source, go to the IRS.gov or the FTC.gov directly. Don't click on a link, and really practice a don't call us, we'll call you approach. So if someone's trying to contact you and say that you need to provide them with with your personal information in order to get money, or that it's the IRS calling or the police department's calling, those sort of things, call them back. Say, okay, well, can I get your number and let me call you back? And then document that number, but then go find what the real number is and then call that number and then say, hey, I received this from this person and this number, it was just you, and if not, this is a scam. But if you can obtain their information for a callback, that's great, and then you can then provide that to your local police department, FBI or IRS, and to where they can try to shut down these scammers. The important thing is do your research, don't trust a link in an email or text, and don't fall for that sense of urgency in the message or in the phone call. Some other tips that you could do is whenever you're visiting a website and it prompts you to download or install something, don't do that. So if it's saying that you need Adobe Reader, go to adobe.com and pick it up and do it directly that way. Don't take it, if it's something's being offered to you online, it is probably false and it's probably malicious. Keep your systems updated, whether that's your Windows update, Chrome updates, your iOS or Android. Make sure that you stay updated. That's why those are out there. They're there to protect you and to shut down those vulnerabilities that has been found and discovered that these attackers are going to try to use to compromise your systems. And do not accept emails from people that you don't know or do not expect an email from. And if you do, create either a new email and check with the person, but even with that, it's probably better just to pick up the phone and call them. I know the phone is not practical for many nowadays, but really that's the best way to determine whether that person truly sent you that email or not, that expecting you to do something. Go directly to the website. Don't click on the link. So if it says that you have something at your bank or Amazon or something like that, go to Amazon directly or go to your bank's website directly. Do not click on the link. And then if you want to donate money, don't take the emails that's being sent to you saying that to donate for COVID-19 victims or from a hurricane or whatever. Go directly to trusted sites like the Red Cross, United Way, or your local charities, and go directly to those sites or contact them directly. It's important that you do your research, and again, never trust a link. It sounds like a broken record there, but never trust a link that's provided to you. The other thing with phone calls, never provide information to someone that's calling you. If they're calling you, then they should have that information. More likely it's a scam, so ask for a number, a name to where you can call them back. A lot of times they'll just hang up on you at that point. Then you know for sure it's a scam. And then call the institution back directly, look up their number, and then call them back directly. Scammers can spoof any number, so don't go by the caller ID that's showing up on your phone because they can make it look like any legitimate source. And then also, if you're working from home, which a lot of people are, and you're receiving some sort of technical support call, hang up the phone immediately and then call your technical support for your organization directly, and to make sure that that it was them calling. I don't think they would have any sort of issues with you doing that. So. And then with text messages, never click on a link that's sent through a text message. Many times those links will cause a vulnerability to take place on a phone and will download malicious payload on your phone and compromise that device. Always log into your accounts via your browser or the associated mobile app part of that institution, and never use the same password for multiple accounts. If you can, use a password manager, something like LastPass or KeePass or something along that line, to where it can manage your passwords for all your different sites. And then don't be fooled again by the urgent messages. Don't let them think that if you don't do something right now, it's going to cause some sort of dire effect. So don't worry about that. Go back, do your research, and again, don't trust the leak. And then some safety tips for relief checks. If you've already filed, and this is from the FTC side, so if you've already filed your taxes in the last couple of years, you don't need to do anything. Or if you were a Social Security or railroad retiree, you don't need to do anything. They will automatically send things to you. If you haven't filed a tax return, you can go to irs.gov and file a simple tax return. And then again, do not give anyone your personal information to sign up for your relief check. It should, it's done by your tax returns. It's not done by some sort of sign up that needs to be done. If you want it direct deposited versus receiving an actual check, you can go to the irs.gov/coronavirus and you can sign that up from there. They might already be in the mail, so it might be a little too late for that at this point since they came out earlier this week. And then remember, no one has early access to the money, so that's a quick giveaway that that's a scam if they do contact you.
Yep. So let's do that, folks. At this time, if you have any questions for Marc at all, and it could be about anything cybersecurity related, please go ahead and type them in the questions section of the webinar tool, and I'll go ahead and read those aloud. So again, the only way we can take questions at this time is through that question section, not through the phone or audio. So just go ahead and type a question in there and we will get an answer to you. So again, I apologize for a little technical delay there. It's part of the trials and tribulations of working at home in this environment right now. Sometimes the connection just doesn't hold up. So let me just pause a moment and see if any questions are coming in. And Marc, while folks are typing here, any other thoughts to just kind of summarize?
Yeah, I think the big thing is, this is just to keep in mind, this is big business for people. This is not small potatoes, so to speak. As I kind of mentioned earlier, there's a lot of money that's in this cybercrime, and it's really important to really take your time, evaluate the emails that's coming across or the phone calls, and just really be careful on who you think it truly is, and worst case, like I said, call the company back directly and work with them that way versus accepting the call that's there. They will totally understand if that's the case, and if you can get their information, and then in case it is fraudulent, and provide that with the police department in order to help shut this down. This is a team thing. We're all in this together to fight these people, and the more that we can do, the better off.
All right, very good, Marc. And we do have a couple of questions. So the first one says, are most scammers located overseas, like ads on social media?
There is a lot that's overseas, but there are some that are local in the U.S. that's taking advantage of that. So it's really all over. I know Nigeria was a hot target for many years. But there's also nation states that are promoting the false news or the fake news, and really trying to get the information out to where they can utilize that to break into various companies to get information or money. So it's not just the criminals.
Yeah, very good. I appreciate the question and the answer. Another one is asking, where do we report the IRS scam? Is it IRS or the police? Which one?
So you can do any of the above. So you can contact your local police. You can contact the FBI. There's the isc3.org, I believe it is or FBI.gov. You go to irs.gov and report things. So there's multiple venues that you can do that.
All right, very good. Thank you for that.
One thing, Mike, I would recommend is probably do a local police report first, and then follow up with either the FBI or the IRS.
Yeah, very good. Another question here, or sort of more of a comment, it says, I see stuff coming from eBay listings for tech products related to iPhones, and then when the product is not delivered, I see Trojan blockers notification when you click on the tracking links. Any comments on that?
Yeah, eBay, there's always some sort of scam that's there, and that's where you really need to evaluate the vendor ratings of any of those purchases, and it's always a risk anytime that you purchase online through those auction sites or Craigslist or anything along that line. So just do your due diligence, and there's no guarantees either which way, but hopefully hopefully you luck out and get a good sale.
All right, thank you for that. This question says, if cyber scammers are the third largest economy, what are the first and second ones, and what was that number that you gave for the third largest economy again?
So the United States is around $19 trillion, a little over. China is number 2, around 12 trillion. Japan was at around 4.87, so just under 4.9. I think Germany was next, around in the low 4 trillion mark. And then the estimates for cybercrime for 2021 is the 6.1 trillion.
Yeah, that's incredible. Another just follow up here. This person says eBay is not customer friendly. When you are a guest, there's really no way to talk to them. So that is true. Yeah. Another question here says, normally when my mouse hovers over a box in an email, on the lower left side of the browser, it targets the URL and it's revealed. And when encrypted sources shown with a lot of characters, it's a red flag to avoid clicking on it. So can you talk to any other kind of little red flags that are built into maybe the browser or your email system?
Sure. So yes, a lot of times you can hover over the link and it will show what the true URL is, and if that doesn't match to where you're expecting it to go, then that's a red flag. This bad part is a lot of times in the mobile clients, it's difficult to be able to tell that. So the other thing you can do is you can copy and paste the link versus clicking on the link, and but even that I would more recommend going to the domain itself. The other thing is, if the email address doesn't match the domain that the link is associated with, then that could be a red flag. If it's a company site and it's coming from or a company email of some sort, and it's coming from a Gmail account or some sort of generic email provider, I would not trust that email either. You can always look for misspellings, broken English, fonts that are not matching. But really, a lot of these scams now, they're getting very good, and they're really honing in on those telltale signs, and they're being very careful on that. So, and always be careful of any that doesn't show the link, but has an image there instead. That's always something, kind of like in those examples we showed earlier. Those are always very dangerous too, because until you hovered over it, you might not know where that link's going.
Very good. Another person just commenting here, never accept offers that are coming from free email account services. That is a good point. Another question is asking, what about scams through email? Is there anything that you're aware of right now that we really should be looking out for?
Yeah, so all these that we've kind of talked about, all these could be coming across via email. So COVID-19, the relief checks, any sort of scam that is asking you for gift cards. Some of them might be very generic with no links or anything, but they're wanting you to respond. So it's kind of almost setting up for like a catfishing type of scam. Romance scams are really big, especially targeting the elderly. So check in on your older relatives to make sure that they're not going to anything. Various bank scams as well of people trying to target, especially the larger banks, U.S. Bank, Wells Fargo. A lot of text messages also are doing that.
All right, very good. So just a couple minutes left in our session. If you have any last questions, folks, please go ahead and submit them now. I think we got to them all, but let me just pause here about 10 more seconds and see if we have another one. A lot of great information covered today. You had mentioned those romance scams. Those are big, of course. Again, if you have some, especially elderly relatives that perhaps are talking about a new friend that they've met or something like that, definitely some red flags. Ask some more questions there. Okay, and then and one more question here. This will be our last question. It's asking, what platform do you recommend for audio and video meetings? Hopefully the most secure platform that's out there. Do you have any recommendations around that?
Yeah, I know Zoom is in the being targeted pretty heavy right now, and there's still some concerns with that, but I think there are some protections you can do with it. Teams is a very good, Microsoft Teams is really good. The Google Classrooms or Meetups is good. WebEx is always another good one. GoToMeeting that we're using now. Join Me, which I believe is a free one that's associated with GoToMeeting, uses their platform. So there's still some other good ones that's out there. Again, GoToMeeting, Teams or Skype, and then Google Classrooms are also good.
All right, and then let's just squeeze this very last question in. This person is saying they're receiving a lot of fake job offers. Where can they report that kind of thing?
So that's a tough one. You might want to report those to the FBI. You can also make sure to make the organization aware of them. If you're not seeing the opportunity on the websites, and again, verify the email addresses and the phone numbers that's associated with it, that is coming from those organizations. So those are tricky. You definitely have to be careful with those. I know last year those were pretty common and was happening quite a bit. With the other scams going on this year, I haven't heard them as much, but I'm sure they will be becoming more prevalent as the stay-at-home orders starts to subside with the pandemic.
Very good. Okay, so that brings us right to the top of the hour. I do want to be mindful of everyone's time, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the session now. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. A special thank you to Marc Ashworth for his time and expertise. Please do take just a few moments to complete a brief survey after our session to help us improve our service. With that said, have a great day, everyone. We'll catch you next time.